to me, this was going to be a huge distraction from where I should be focusing on in my business. It pulled me away from building systems, from doing my marketing, and most importantly, having time off. Hey guys, welcome back. We're at episode 30. Got a question for you. Resistance. Why do we feel it? Is it procrastination? Is it because you don't like what you're working on? Is it because you don't know how to do something? I remember 2 times quite recently when I felt resistance quite strongly in my life. Now, the first one is around organizing my very first live event for my business website, Love, that's coming up in September in 2 cities in Australia, Melbourne and Sydney. Now, I know that I've been wanting to do this event for a really, really long time, and I had all the skills, you guys, all the skills. So back in the day when I was, I was 21, I think, I was going to university. I was studying international business in San Diego in the States, and I was running a business on the side. And I called it 911 Art. I was running it at the time with my boyfriend, and we produced art, fashion, and music events throughout San Diego. So back in the early days, not only did I put together, bring in the DJs, and we sometimes had fashion parades, so we'd bring in the models and we'd have the green room set up, and then we would have bands that we brought in. I remember Corey Feldman from the 80s, from the Lost Boys. His band came up down from LA to San Diego. We had his band. I'm just saying, I hired girls to take the money at the door when we did a lot of venues in nightclubs and things like that. So I ran events for years with my business 911 Art. And then I graduated uni, and I went into, while I was still running 911 Art with my boyfriend at the time, I started running events for Tony Robbins, the speaker, in San Diego, and started in IT, but very quickly moved into events management and running some of his events, specifically leadership. If you guys know leadership or know Tony Robbins, it's sort of a division of the company, the leadership and the trainers. That team helps to be on site and support participants at his events. So I was running 911 Art. I was working for Tony Robbins, working in the logistics in the production department. From there, I moved over to Australia, and I built a crew program for a guy named Chris Howard and his promoters here in Australia. And the crew program is for the huge, massive seminars. We had them in the UK, we had them in Asia, we had them in Australia, we had some in the States. Crew program is essentially where you get a team of volunteers to come on site for the seminar, whether it's, it was a 2-day seminar or a 5-day seminar. They'd be trained, the application process, trained on site. I would train them on site, break them into teams, all of that. So we have that under my belt as well. And I've been a speaker myself as well. So for the last 20 years, my first speaking gig was when I first moved to Australia, my first month in this country. And I stood up and I talked about, I think it was about manifestation essentially, but how did I possibly move countries, essentially that sort of thing. So you guys, from knowing audio visual from some of the best speakers on the planet, to organizing my own AV for my own art, fashion, music events, to putting together the agendas and itineraries, to finding venues and working with the venue teams, to managing on-site teams and then the off-site teams. I know how to do live events. So why so much resistance? Why so much resistance for this event that I'm going to do for myself? Is it fear of failure? I don't know, maybe. Is it fear of letting myself down? Is it fear of something that, I want to do, and I just keep wondering, can I do this for myself? Or maybe what if it fails? Why can't I do it for myself? I've done it for everyone else. So in my mind, it's looping around with these ridiculous thoughts. It's I'm going to be a failure. But you guys, who cares? What if I get 10 people at my first event? Cool. That is 10 business owners' lives who will forever be changed. I I don't know why I'm so hung up on this resistance of it. Anyway, so that's one moment where recently I've been feeling like quite a bit of resistance. And then the second one was with for a joint venture partner. So I often have opportunities, like I'm sure so many of you guys do with your businesses, where, you're hopefully learning through this podcast, you should be saying no more than yes. And I'm guilty as charged, where I get lots of opportunities coming my way and they're like, oh, Heather, can you do this training, or can you put together this, Facebook ads course, or whatever it is, or come into my company and run this and you get a cut. Whatever it is, like I've said yes to too many things for sure. And recently, there was an opportunity to come in sort of as a partner into business where I got percentage of the work. And I immediately felt resistance the second I said yes, immediately. To me, this was going to be a huge distraction from where I should be focusing on in my business. It pulled me away from building systems, from doing my marketing, and most importantly, having time off, like actually having weekends off and working towards this sort of anti-hustle drive in me that I had for way too many years. I was really at the edge of sort of having a really cool systemized business, and for some reason, I got pulled into saying yes. I said yes to this other thing that was going to completely sideline me and take up my time for at least 4 months at a minimum. And I still, I was just in this pattern going, what am I doing this for? So 2 moments of resistance, for me at least. One, something that I've always wanted, something that I know I'm fully capable of. I have contacts, I have, the skill set, I like it. I like speaking. I love it. I've been wanting to do it. The second, something quite different, an opportunity that came into my path. So I was sort of thinking on this, and recently somebody brought up the book called The War of Art. I haven't read it yet, but I looked into the author, Stephen Pressfield, and he said a really great quote, and that is this: the more important a call to action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel about answering it. The more important a call to action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we'll feel about answering it. And I like that, because sometimes resistance is a lesson that we need to learn, and sometimes a sign that we're on the right path. And I think both those moments of resistance for me illustrated that. One is a sign I'm on the right path. I need to get back out of my comfort zone, do the live event. I have the skill set, I have the contacts, I know they work. 2, a lesson, a pattern that I kept running over and over and over again. The second I had my business under control, an opportunity would come in and I would say yes, and immediately sideline myself into more overwhelm. Nice, right? So I guess I felt like it was a fork in the road. I feel like that's what resistance is, right? It's a fork in the road for you to either say no or yes. Sometimes, you guys, you just need to think about what resistance it is that you're feeling. What type of resistance is it? Should you be saying no, or should you be saying yes? Hard one to figure out. But hopefully my 2 illustrations will help you think about a couple things in your life where you might be feeling resistance. And maybe you'll know the answer to why you should say yes to some and no to others. Hopefully that helps you guys. Thanks as always for tuning in. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.